Viewers, today's write-up is titled NPP Didn't Learn Any Lesson Over Professor Gyampo's BBC Search for Grade Allegation. All over the world, governments frown upon dissenting voices over policies or overall leadership style. However, in a democracy like ours, the government is expected to be more tolerant and not pose a threat to its critics. These current NPP leaders appear to be increasingly intolerant of dissenting views. In the life of President Akufo-Addo's second term in office, rating agencies have downgraded Ghana's press freedom on several occasions. Journalists whose media work did not favor the government expressed fear for their lives. Manasseh Azuri Awuni, a prominent investigative journalist, admitted he had to sneak out of the country at some point due to credible threats on his life. In the previous Mahama-led administration, there were so many prominent critical voices over how things were being done. People keep wondering why all of a sudden the loud voices diminish under President Akufo-Addo-led government. Some narrow the reasons to two possibilities. One is that it is possible people are afraid of political and economic reprisal from elements within the administration. And secondly, it could be that the mass of these loud individuals are now full with a free meal of corruption. And in our culture, one is not supposed to talk while eating. Many oppressive governments or leaders have a favorite formula to crush and silence opposing views, and it is what I call dig and find dirt to discredit opponents. People who have no regard for moral values tend to weaponize morality just to shut down critics. In 2019, BBC Africa Eye released a secret investigation named Search for Grade in Nigerian and Ghanaian universities to uncover underreported widespread sexual harassment of female students by lecturers. Unfortunately, Professor Prof Gyampo, who wields a very influential voice on national issues, including ROS in the past NPP-led administration, was caught up in that messy investigation. Some of the lecturers were sacked. However, the leadership of the University of Ghana, after internal investigation, found insufficient evidence that warrants maximum punishment like permanent dismissal, and so Professor Gyampo returned to the lecture hall. At the onset of this damning expose, Professor Gyampo denied any wrongdoing and mounted strong defense. In his view, due to his outspoken posture on key national issues, some powerful faceless elements in the country were trying to undermine and destroy his personality with such bogus investigation and allegation. According to him, the ultimate plan of his enemies was to shut him up. NPP, through its national youth organizer, seems to openly validate Professor Gyampo's suspicion and accusation after 4 years. Of course, looking at the evidence presented by the BBC against Professor Gyampo, it was not neck-breaking evidence of sexual harassment as witnessed in many other cases. The professor only had few inappropriate, intimate conversations with the BBC undercover journalist without any physical sexual harassment. Owing to this, the professor held his head up and defended his integrity and hard-won reputation. Well, in such explosive issue of sexual harassment, a mere false allegation is enough to cause some level of bruises on the reputation of anyone, because people tend to remember the issue as long as the fellow continues to hang around. NPP and its propaganda machinery felt it is politically expedient to use the allegation as a knife to cut off the head of the snake, so to speak. And so you often hear or see elements of the party, including social media landlords, repeatedly try to tag the professor with the issue, and after several years, but they fail to realize that the whole incident, instead of crashing the man down, turned him into a dangerous wounded lion against the poor leadership supervised by the party. The experience has actually strengthened Professor Gyampo's resolve to speak out more. I would say it has instead made him more powerful and better person in light of standing up to those who possess power without conscience and decency. Regular Ghanaians admire and respect him more than before. In the heat of things leading up to the 2024 election, desperate and drastic measures were being employed by political parties, and one of those desperate efforts is the decision of the national youth organizer of the NPP, Mr. Salam Mustafa, to launch direct personal attack on the professor, which included the BBC's allegation. Until NPP recognizes that such gagging formula cannot work on the Professor Gyampo, until they realize it is counterproductive, they will continually issue public apology letter to the respected professor for a very long time.
Thank you.
Subscribe and follow us.